I saw Neighbors 2, Sorority Rising, I guess is the subtitle. It's a sequel to Neighbors, the 2014 film, and it stars Seth Rogen and Zac Efron and Chloë Grace Moretz, and I wasn't too excited for it because I wasn't a big fan of the first movie. I didn't really find Neighbors super funny. I found it kind of like just another party movie. It sort of reminded me of Animal House a lot, and yeah, I guess a lot of people really found it funny and stuff. A lot of the jokes just didn't land with me, I guess. A lot of it didn't really make sense, and I don't know. It just wasn't a movie that I ever got into too much. However, with the sequel, I got a little more excited. I mean, it started with the casting. I heard Chloë Grace Moretz was going to be in it. I love her, and I love everything she does in movies. She's in a lot of bad movies, but she's always the best part. She's gonna have a huge career ahead of her if she can just finally get one movie that's actually good. She's always good in them, but they always don't turn out too great, or they don't make money. And Neighbors 2 is not even making that much money. So yeah, another movie that she's in that's just not gonna do that much business, and people are gonna think that she makes no money, and then she'll not get in the movies she should be in. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, the other thing that got me excited for it was the trailer. I thought the trailer made it look really funny, but also was gonna talk a lot. It seemed like it was gonna say a lot more than the first one. You see, like, I mean, one thing that I noticed when I went to college was, I thought it was really weird that sororities couldn't have parties. I was like, oh, isn't that kind of weird? You know, we're on campus and I mean, there's a lot of progressive feminism going on, but then one big thing that I feel like was a big gaping hole was the fact that only the frats could throw parties, but sororities couldn't. And, you know, I've heard reasons for that. Like, one I've heard is that the sororities don't want them at their house because, you know, the house will get messy. And then that's why they have them at the frats, because they're gross. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like that's just, I feel like that's a huge kind of sexist overtone to the whole Greek life, college life thing. Like, I feel like, come on now, guys. Really? That's okay, but we're not gonna talk about that at all? That's one thing that's just not, I mentioned it, and people are like, like, whatever. But I'm glad that this movie finally kind of touched on it. I didn't know what approach they were gonna take, but it's pretty interesting. You know, it's a pretty interesting take, and it's actually turns out really funny, which is one thing we have to point out about this movie. It's not way funnier than the first. I guess the jokes just land with me a lot better. They take the characters from the first movie, and they take little tiny tropes about the characters, and then they turn that into a stereotype. You see, one thing was, in the first movie, I don't think Zac Efron was as stupid as he is in this movie, but I think they took the little few times he was stupid in the first one and made that his entire character. That happens a lot with comedy sequels, especially. That Hangover to The Hangover 2, that's what they did with Alan's character. He started out as doing dumb things, but he had more of a character to him than just being dumb. There was several things to him in the first one, but then once the second one came around, his entire character became, hey, I'm stupid, a lot of the characters from the first one is back, like Hannibal Buress as the cop. He shows up for a couple scenes, and so does Lisa Kudrow as the dean of students. Both were really funny in the first one, and they're really underplayed in this movie. They're just hardly there, but they're in two really funny scenes, so it almost kind of makes up for the fact that they're hardly in it. No, most of the movie really does focus on, you know, Seth Rogen, his family, and then it focuses on Chloë Grace Moretz's character and all her friends and the little sorority that they try to throw. And, yeah, it just, in general, has a lot more to say about, you know, stereotypes and gender roles and sexism, and it's all brought up in this movie, but it's very subtly done. It's not really pushing your face, get it, this is our message, sexism bad, feminism good. It's not pushing it in your face. There's just little tiny things here and there that are all scattered throughout the movie that every character talks about, that it really does work, and I think if enough people saw this movie, it would spark a conversation. But it doesn't seem to be making the money that it should. It's not even making nearly as much as the first movie. Maybe that's because of reviews, but I don't know. I think the reviews for this one are about the same as the first movies. And, you know, with the first movies, I mean, everyone's going to say the sequel's just ripping it off, which, I mean, the first movie in itself was sort of a rip-off of Animal House. I think this one is better to me because it actually does do something different. Neighbors, I don't think did anything different from any other college movie. College parties, stuff happens, boom-ba-ding-ba-ding, and the only jokes that really landed with me were the ones that were really outside of reality, like the airbag scene. That stuff made me laugh because that's obviously not possible in the real world, but I thought those jokes were funny. It made it kind of like almost like Looney Tunes style jokes. And I think there's a lot more of those jokes in the second one. Maybe that's why it makes me laugh more, while it also has a lot more to say. Everyone's going to say that Neighbors 2 ripped off Neighbors. You know, it's like how most comedy sequels get judged. And even though the reviews really, they're kind of the same, almost like from 21 Jump Street to 22 Jump Street, they had very similar reviews. Everyone kind of thought the same about them. So I don't really know why not as many people are coming out for Neighbors 2. Maybe it's because it just does look the same as the first one, except this time there's a sorority instead of a fraternity. But, I mean, maybe it's because Angry Birds is out and everyone wants to go see that. I don't know. I really think you should go see this movie. I think it's really important. I think it's really with the times. And I think it's going to be the huge feminist progressive movie of the year, you know? Everyone's saying that Ghostbusters... It seems like everyone's talking about Ghostbusters lately. On Twitter, it's almost like become this huge thing of, once Ghostbusters comes out, that's going to be like the center of feminism in movies. Like, this is going to be like the decide-all or something like that. That's going to be the big, huge change or something. And everyone's fighting on Twitter about it, and it's really confusing, but I'm like, this movie's kind of been swept under all of that talk, and it's just kind of, everyone's overlooking it. But I'm like, this is kind of the huge feminist movie of the year. I think this is going to be the one that everyone should be talking about, yet no one, it doesn't seem like anybody is. It seems like people are like, yeah, it came out, it's done. It didn't make any I mean, it made money, not as much as Neighbors, though. But point is, it's funny. I would go see it before it leaves theaters, unless you want to wait till Redbox. I wouldn't wait till Redbox. If you went and saw Angry Birds instead, I don't know how that movie became #1. That surprised me, because I was like, Angry Birds came probably 3-4 years too late. I don't even think anyone hardly does anyone play Angry Birds anymore? I was surprised they made the movie. I heard about that movie years ago. But no one wants to see Neighbors 2. So I guess Neighbors 3 won't happen. I can't... How many comedy movies end up making it to a 3? Naked Gun 3? 33 and 1/3. Hangover 3? 21 Jump Street's gonna make it to a 3. Men in Black was a comedy, so I mean, that was Men in Black 3. How many others? Anyway, write that in the comments. How many movies make it to a 3? I mean, that's gonna be kind of crazy that so many movies make it. So many comedy trilogies out there. Why are there so many comedy trilogies? My thoughts on the comedy always have been, hey, if you got a lot of great actors in a comedy and that comedy really works, don't make a sequel to that comedy. Just take those actors, put them in a different story, just like Abbott and Costello did back in the day. Just do it like that. Throw them in different movies, make different characters for them. And yeah, don't be doing sequels. Just do something new. Paul Feig did it right. I mean, Bridesmaids, Spy, The Heat, he just took his actors and made different movies. And yes, I know he's making Ghostbusters, and I know that's a remake of an old movie, so technically he's breaking his whatever. I don't even know if he has a code. I'm just rambling again. Anyway, Neighbors 2, good movie. Go see it. Wait for it on Redbox. I don't care. Go see it. Please.